Very first thing that I would say with you is to make sure, even with his positive excitement, you want to control him.
Yeah.
Even me coming up saying hi to him, you want to make sure that he's sitting controlled. Are you good with that?
No.
You're not?
No.
100% of the time. The homework that I'm going to give you for these next 2 weeks straight, you just want to do it full out for 2 weeks. Just think for 2 weeks, every single time you come home.
Yeah.
Is he fine when you're gone during the days?
He's good at my apartment, so we have that routine down.
He's
But
good. No separation anxiety. Okay.
None there.
That's amazing, though. I'm glad. Okay.
Yeah, but like there's separation anxiety when he comes to work with me, and I have to go to a meeting.
Okay.
And leave him at my desk, like tie
Got
up.
it.
He gets
Then
separation there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you bring him to work every day?
Almost every day.
What does he do? Bark?
He'll yelp and whine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whenever a dog is just all over anxious, you want to make sure that the positive excitement is very controlled.
Okay.
So anytime he's excited to see you, see me, and he's good with adults then, right? He loves people?
Yeah.
All people, do you think?
I mean, like people who are on skateboards or people
Weird
who are,
people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird things.
But most people, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good. People that he's just like excited to see, always get him to control himself.
Okay.
So some days do you leave him home?
Yes.
Okay. Is there he's just out when you leave him at home?
Yeah, he's just out. When I get home, for some reason, he's pretty calm.
Okay.
But he's good. When I come home, it's when other people come to my home that he
Got
gets
it.
crazy.
Okay. Here's the thing is that anytime, even when he was walking up to seeing me, anytime his mind is just like up here with excitement, and you give him what he wants up there, it fuels that anxious behavior too and doesn't teach him self-control. The anxiety is basically that positive excitement on the other end of the spectrum. It's negative excitement. Easiest way to start working on anything is to think of it like that and control him all the time with that positive excitement. Because that's easy. He already has a positive association, so there's only one step to it. But when we do the controlling the negative excitement, it's going to be trying to control that anxiety and that excitement, but also showing him that these things are positive. So if you work on that, he's going to do so much better. I would just make sure every time you get home, ideally you would have a gate in your doorway or something that separates him from getting to you. Because maybe he's really good because he just gets to you right away, but if there was that thing there that he would have to sit, lay down, control himself before you come over, I think that would be incredible to work on. Then the next step is going to be with the other people. So making sure for these next 2 weeks or even like a month, if you don't have people all the time, that every single time somebody comes, you have him leashed before they come. And that they understand like, okay, I'm working with him. And so here's the thing is that he knows somebody's coming, excitement shoots up to here, here's self-control. If he gets to that person, again, he's up here when he's greeting them and he's just no self-control. I think the most awkward thing about it all is just to be like, you can't pet him yet, but if you let everyone know, like, let me just get him to sit once, and then he can go say hi, like that's even better. Because at least breaking him out of that zoned in state, because when he has anxiety, like their mind is, I need to be there, I need to be there, I need to be there. And so if he thinks that like, I need to go say hi to that person, I really need to go say hi, at least breaking it once, making him sit, will like, it'll bring it down here on the spectrum. Like he's not going to be fully controlled, because I think a lot of people are like, well, you always tell me to tell my dog to sit, but then he's just straight back there, which there's two types of working on things. Just doing the bare minimum maintenance like that to make him at least not be zoned in and at least look to you, control himself a little bit, breaking his focus on what he wants, looking to you to get there. That's what you should always do, no matter what. So if you're like, just hang on a second, let me get him to sit, and he follows sit pretty well. He's good. The sit, and then I'll show you what to do. Sit. Oh, he gets a lot of anxiety with someone else, huh? This is good practice for him. Can I try to give him that? I mean, this would be another thing. Anytime you have somebody that would be willing to work with him like this, yes, good boy. Even just taking a second to, this is the same thing. His mind is like, I'm away from her, I'm away from her. Even just giving him commands. Because here's the thing, what people do is they just pull him away from it and they expect him to get over it.
Yeah.
But his mind needs to be shifted off of worrying about you to get over it.
Yeah.
So if I tell him, Oliver, come. Yes, sit. Yes, good boy. Down. And I love down for the go-to command because down is just a fully settled command. And each time that I do this, like that time, he was able to stay focused on me a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. So it's okay that he goes back. I think people just get so frustrated, like, well, he's just going back. But it takes persistence and constant direction of where you want his mind to be when you're trying to get him over anxiety. Yes! Sit. Yes. Down. Oh. And that time he was a little, and that's fine. I'm not going to be like, no, I'm just going to get him right back. Oliver, come. Yes. Sit. Yes. Oliver. 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 Yes. The longer that somebody can do this for, the better. Yeah. But even honestly, having him come, sit once, giving him back to you is amazing because that breaks his focus.
What if that becomes the routine? That he's like, okay, I'm going to sit, but I know that I'll be able to go and get what I want.
Oliver, sit. Yes. Up, down. Yes, look. Okay, now go. So even if he's doing that just like one time, being like, nope, that behavior is not, because I think he has self-control. Just ignore this too. Oliver, come. Yes, sit. Yes! Good boy. Now if he can go back to you and be quiet. Look. Okay, go say hi. Good boy. Oliver, come. Yes.
Like sometimes I'll go into a store and I'll leave him outside with a friend.
Okay. And he does that the whole time?
Yeah.
He does?
I mean,
even if he can't see you?
He'll eventually settle, right?
Okay.
He won't yelp, but he'll be just like
looking for you. That's the perfect time if you can to give that friend treats.
Okay.
Because honestly, most dogs with this issue, I am impressed by him because most dogs will not even sit once.
I see.
Or maybe in an hour I could get them to sit once. So he has self-control, he just really needs that direction.
Okay.
So if someone gives him that direction, he'll be able to get over it. Their mind has to be shifted away from what's actually going on. And then once they're okay to let that go, then it won't need to be shifted and he'll be totally fine. As often as you can doing this, getting him away from you, the better. Like, you know, one person giving him a command, that would be amazing for him. Even when somebody asks to say hi to him, I would try to be like, yeah, you can say hi. Do you want to like hold his leash for a second and have them tell him to sit and then come right back to you? The thing is right now I'm going to make him at least calm down for a second just so he's not stringing together this behavior of obsessing over mom, even if he's quiet. Come. Yes. Oliver, sit. Yes. Look. Yes. Oh, that's going to get you to go further. I'm going to back up. Sit. Yes. Okay. Good boy. Good boy. Like just getting him to sit at least once and breaking that obsessive state is really important. So that's probably something that you see when you go to the meetings. Is he like that? I would try to wait for a second when he's calm, like even when you're walking back to him. And obviously I know you probably have to get back to him to like make him be quiet, but as much as you can, I would stand in your doorway and be like, and directing him to sit instead. Because you can tell him, you just have to tell him what to do instead. So direct him to sit, and I would take like the slowest steps to him. If he gets up, starts again, and you stop, sit, and then bring him closer. Because the issue with the dogs and the kids is because he has a protective instinct over you. This all ties in together. If he's obsessing over what you're doing constantly and always worried about you, and he can't turn that off, he's not going to listen with your direction with a protective instinct. Right. So this is super, super important. Okay. And this is why I say click the gate up so you can see. Yep. And sometimes people are like, well, he was fine before and now you've triggered more issues with him, but he's always had them, but it was managed. That he needs to be okay just coming away from you for a little bit and working through that. He has like 2 homes basically. It's at your work and at home. So you have to try to keep something constant when that's switching. So that's usually like a crate is amazing because you can replicate it easily, obviously, if you bring it or have to. So trying to replicate that, to have him have his own little safe place in these areas will really help. Okay. So if you can feed him his meals, and it seems funny to feed him his meal like under the couch at home, but he's designated it as that. And then if he has that at the office too, just feeding the meals in it. 1, does he like mealtime? Yeah. Okay. Then it makes it a positive place. And 2, you can test a dog's level of anxiety if they'll eat when they're under there. And you can slowly start like walking away from him like while he's eating to make that be a safe place. The problem is with the couch situation is that he has full roam to leave his meal if he wants. Yeah. But if you're patient, either I would try to do something to lock him in the area to teach him to settle. Okay. And you sitting next to him right there, get him over that step. And then once he's fine with, oh, I can't get out of here, but mom's right there, let's go of it, we'll eat, then slowly start moving out closer. Okay. Or you can do it the other way and take a step away from him when he's under the couch or at your desk. And if he starts to follow you, just direct him back. Bring him back over there, do it again, just let him, he's okay over there. So that takes more work on your end, but the goal with both is that he'll settle and just focus on the food and you can go gradually out. Okay. But the key is the gradual, because it's either like you're right next to him and he's like, okay, I'm great, or you're like, bye, leave, and he's just anxious the whole time. What I would do is just, if he's staying in the little area, watching you, seeing what you're doing, just kind of ignore him. And the goal would be that he is watching you leave, but then he's like, okay, wait, like his mind is like, oh my God, she's leaving, but then you're staying still, that his mind settles down, because this is how you get a dog out of anxiety. You know, they're thinking one thing, how negative it's going to be that you're leaving, but then it's like, wait a second, I had no need to worry, she's just standing right there. Relaxes, eats his food. Yeah. Like that would be huge progress for him if you could even just take a step away to get his mind in that state of mind, like, oh, she's leaving, but he calms down on his own. If he doesn't calm down on his own, though, you might just have to direct him back. And literally, you might have to do that 10 or 20 times. And just know that, again, if he's worrying and he's like, oh my God, she's leaving and is running over to you, you're okay. Just direct him back, go right back. He does it again, repeat. And it's the same kind of thing. The more that you direct him to where you want his mind to be and let go, the more he'll let go of where his mind actually is. Anytime he's sniffing, wanting to go up to a dog like that, don't let him, actually. Okay. This probably seems complete opposite. You're like, oh, he likes this dog, let's let him.
What I notice is he goes up to dogs really not nicely, not politely, and he'll like sniff at their eyeballs or their ears. Mm-hmm. Really not nicely. Like,
got it.
In a very like,
yep.
Yeah, rude way.
Yep, totally understand what you're saying. Yeah. And then freaks out at them?
And then we'll freak out at some.
Okay, got it. That's pretty typical. So yeah, anytime that he's like, who is this? I'm gonna judge the dog. Yeah. You actually don't want him to go up to the dog. Okay. Because with a protective instinct, he's protecting himself and protective of you. Protective instincts are so hard to work through because he's got to let go of the stubbornness of that protective instinct. You might give him direction, but he has to be motivated to follow it. which I do think he does follow direction really well for a dog with like anxious issues. He's okay, sit. He's really good. What you're going to want to do, and this actually, he's probably is going to be okay with him because he's gotten to get used to him. And this is what I do with Grizzly during training sessions is get the dog closer, 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 and have him not moving, stationary, because that neutralizes him. And so if he's same kind of thing that we were discussing with the anxiety is that when he sees this big dog and is thinking, oh, that dog's negative. Usually a big dog will either move, and that fuels negativity, will bark back at him, fuels the negativity even more. But when his mind is like, oh my God, that dog is negative, and Grizzly doesn't care at all, he's like, wait a second. It helps him shift to like neutral, positive. So even when he's like that, what you're gonna wanna do is get him to sit, and let me get Grizzly to stand up. So basically what you're gonna wanna do, and you should do this with people too. So if I'm like, hi buddy, shift his focus off of me first and have him sit. And make sure he's looking at you. And then tell him, go say hi.
Go say hi. Go say hi.
And he's like, you're going to take me. Yes! Good boy! And then he's looking right back to you. Perfect. Then you would get him to sit and get a treat. So basically it's going to be, he's wanting to get to something. With him, because it's a little bit unpredictable if he is thinking this thing is good, bad, positive, negative, you want to get that to a neutral, controlled association in his mind, and the way to do that is bringing him back to you. I'm going to get him to stand up. We'll get him kind of like interested in him. You can like let his mind go a little bit so he's looking, maybe wanting to get to him, but then tell him sit. You want focus on you. Once he's calm, then you can tell him go say hi. And then the thing is, when he goes and says hi, you want him to only say hi for 1 second.
Call him back.
Yep, then it's Oliver, come. And if he doesn't come, just pull him back with you. Super important that you walk with him and you don't pull him because that jerk is like a negative reaction. And he's like, oh, I have more of a reason to protect. Okay, ready? Hi! And even that, I would just reward him for looking at you. So even if a dog he's like unsure about it, you want to reward him for that because you'd rather have that, because how he usually takes out his unsureness or fear is thinking he has to be protective and defensive. So you'd rather have him do that and just be looking to you, honestly, the whole time when a dog is around. So it's completely fine. Okay, so get him to sit.
Oliver, sit.
Yes, come on, Grace. Sit. Yes. Now tell him, go say hi.
Go say hi. Who's that? Who's that? Who's this baby?
Who is this? Hi. I think he's thinking I'm going to take him from you again. He's worried. Oh, now call him back.
Oliver.
And then if he doesn't come, pull him back. Yep, just like that. Have him sit.
Sit. Oliver.
And what I would do is grab his leash like here. Yep, and then direct him. Yes. Do you know my golden rule of only saying a command once? Yep, super important. Okay, so now that I saw that, he definitely is stubborn with you. Because he's like, yep, she said sit, but I'm not gonna have to do it. She's going to say it multiple times. So if you tell him sit, why I said to grab this is because he was distracting himself on purpose almost. I can go over here on the leash, I can roll in the grass, I can do this. So if you're like, it's not to like pull him up or anything, but just to hold him right here, like this is your only option, and continue to do the hand gesture until he does it.
Sit. Okay, who's this? Go say hi to Grizzly. Who's Grizzly?
Who's that? You want to sniff him? Yes. Now call him back.
Oliver.
Yes! That was perfect. This time we'll do it again, and you can let his mind go for a little longer. So basically my rule of thumb is that if it goes smoothly like that, and he comes back to you, then you can double the time.
Yeah.
So that was like 2 seconds. Now he can go say hi for 4 seconds. Here goes.
Good job.
Yes.
Go sniff.
Here, who's that? Look. Oh, yes! And that was completely on his own. That was amazing.
That was
good boy, Oliver. And so let's say you don't have time with the dog that's just sitting here for this long, which is going to be majority of the time. You're going to just want to work to get him to that first level of just being controlled. Yeah? Because even like after the 3rd time, that was incredible that he went the barky to then the more fearful, like I'm not sure, to then he's so much more confident. Grizzly?
What happens if like he's so aggressively barking from afar and he just does not listen to me?
First have to get to the point where you do have the control. So if he's not listening to you right away, you have to very quickly back up. So you have to be over here, try again. He's still focused on something, walk away even more. Your different levels, you always have to think about the difficulty of the dog. So if it's a dog moving, depending on where you're at, you want to try to find that distance. He has a short distance. You might think it's not, but like there are dogs that would react just blocks and blocks away from another dog. He definitely has that short distance.
So I back up.
Yep, you back up and try to work perpendicular with the dog. So if you guys are walking on this path right here, I would go over here as much as you can, quick, to get his focus. Level 1 when working through reactivity, and we're going to work on this with kids too, means you're able to get his focus with your direction. And this is very important that you run away from the dog with a protective instinct, because if you stay close to the dog and you're like, Oliver, you're trying to get his focus and he's just like going, you're rewarding him
to bark at it.
Yep, you're rewarding him with having a protective instinct basically, because you're allowing him to protect. He's like, yep, I didn't have to listen to you and I got to protect, because that's what he wants to do. And then the dog left, and so he got everything he wanted. So it's like, okay, we go as far as you need, get that control point. That's the best thing to do. And that's only level 1. I think that a lot of people don't know how to work past that, and it's really hard to get the focus.
This situation, I almost could tell that if I called him, he would have come back. But those like other situations where we're around my apartment and he is extra protective about me, he is very difficult to snap out.
Got it. So you're going to have to work both ways. So this is deep desensitization work when you have time to do this. Now, you're not going to find that many dogs in situations like this, but you're going to find more than you think. Because there are people that are just sitting on a thing like this with their dog drinking a cup of coffee that aren't moving. So that's the thing, you have to find a stationary, not moving dog to work on this. And so when you have that, you probably overlook it right now. But if you are to kind of try to work up to the person like that, the dog, it works incredibly well. And you don't have to get all the way up to them. Obviously, you're not going to go all the way up to someone enjoying their coffee with their dog. But just getting him to snap out of something and then re-put him in a state where it was too much for him before, or a situation, is how you're going to get results. So a lot of the situations in your neighborhood, we're going to work on getting a level 1 and 2 at a distance. So level 2 means he looks at a dog and looks to you on his own. And you have to introduce that in training, especially with a dog with a protective instinct, or he'll never do it. Because what he thinks is when he sees a dog, he gets into that state all the time. And what he probably thinks, or maybe not even yet, is like, oh, she'll get my attention if she needs me. And if you only ever do that, you're only ever like, look at me, look at me, look at me. There won't be motivation for him to look at you on his own. What do you usually do when a dog is around?
I usually say leave it. When I see the dog before he does, I say leave it and I stop. But sometimes I can't always stop, and I'll just say leave it, and then I'll keep walking, and then of course he spots the dog.
Got it.
And 95% of the time he's barking, but a very few percent of the time it works.
If you're telling him leave it, I would literally be like, yes, getting the focus with it all the time.
Okay.
So if you say leave it and he looks up at you while you're walking, great, you can keep walking, bring treats on the walk all the time and praise him for it, but it's all about getting that focus. Every situation that you see a trigger in, you have to just be very aware. So this is why I focus on this for 2 weeks and you'll see a huge difference.
Okay.
Because if you only focus on it for one walk, it's not going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Because to really change something, the best way to resolve anything is to not expose him to the triggers unless you're in control of rewiring his association with them. It makes sense, as close to 100% of the time as possible. Was he barking at the kid? Now try to walk him a little closer. Like that distance is good, yeah. Oh. Yes! Give him a treat. Yes. Yes! Do you see how that one was? Okay, so each time he actually did, he responded to your direction, and then right after, he looked back at the girl or the kid and back at you on his own. That was a level 2.
Okay.
The first one you missed because it was just really quick, and I think it's a lot. But that second time, he did look to you. So the goal is down the road is that we only give him a treat for the level 2. So here's the thing with the level 1s and 2s, because this is where you're going to make all the progress. Most of the situations, he's like a quick reactor, right? He goes 0 to 100 really quick. He responds really fast, whereas a lot of dogs will zone in, maybe growl, and then they trigger. So you'll see he'll start to do that a little bit more. He'll develop more self-control and not react instantly. But every time he reacts, redirect him to what he's supposed to do. But then why I told you to go back to her is because then he was so locked in on you. Then it's like, now I showed you what to do when you want to bark. Now try to do that again yourself. So the goal is to end every trigger on a level 2 if you can, even if you're at a distance. So you didn't have to necessarily get that close, but it was more about like walk him so his mind goes back to her and isn't just so glued on you. Because that's the first step, is getting that glued on you, and he's great with that. Some people struggle with that, and I feel like there's situations where you feel like you can't even do that. In your neighborhood, it's probably escalated to even get that. So that's what you always want to get, though. Anyone that tells me they can't get their dog's focus, it means they're too close to that trigger. So they need to back up. So back up as much as you can. You did really good. It's just being aware of those level 2s. So anytime I'm like, yes, finally too much focus, then a lot of the times that trigger is going to be gone, right? So like you can't redo the level 2, but when you can like that, take advantage of it. There's also sometimes where you might be at a distance, like a kid is over there or a skateboard is just skating down that way. He's looking at something, he's not reacting yet, but you still want to snap him out of it.
Do I call his name in that moment?
Yep, level 1. So if you can catch it before he reacts, that's even better. So don't trust him when he's just looking at something. Because a lot of people think, oh, he's looking, he wants to go say hi, and then it turns into the craziness once he's triggered.
But I need to snap him out.
You need to snap him out of it to bring him to full self-control and to be with you mentally. But then just let it, just be like, Oliver, then let him go right back and see if he'll do a level 2 again. The more practice you get with these things, the better it'll be. Let me show you how to teach a look command real quick, because that will also help. I'll use the name or look. So focus on the treat. Sit. Yes. And I'm going to tell him, look. Yes! And in order to get the treat, he has to break his focus on it and look at me. Then he gets the treat. So same thing with the dog. In order to get it, break your focus on it, and then you can go. So I've seen different results with different training clients. We'll do a session like this, and then they apply things occasionally, and it's like, oh, I see improvement. But I really think that in order to see the best results possible, if you really want to make a difference on it, you have to commit those like 2 weeks to doing it, where you're just on top of it. And if you can't be, then you're better off not exposing him to those things. So just always remember that. Either don't, like if you're like, I do not have time right now to deal with the dog, turn around and go the other way. That's better than exposing him to it and him having a negative interaction. Oh, so get him to sit. There was a little growl. Never scold for growling, never scold for the barking. Does he sassy bark at you sometimes?
Yeah, not a lot, but yes. Oliver.
Oh, it's at Grizzly, isn't it?
Oliver, sit. Yeah.
See if he'll lay down right now. A time where he's really.
Down. Yeah.
Yes.
Stay. Sit. Down.
Good.
Stay. Down.
Yes.
Stay.
And I always say yes when he did it because he's getting confused. Good.
Yes. Good job.
And then when you give it to him, like only give it to him when he's laying down.
Still laying
Yeah,
down.
because he got up for it, so he thinks he'll have to meet you for it. Do you know my golden rules? Let me just briefly go through them, just a refresher, and I can send you all of this. The first one is to never repeat the command like we talked about, because usually dog owners will say the command like sit, sit, sit 3 to 5 times. So he thinks after you say it once, it means nothing. This is very important. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I've heard that. You'll see huge improvement in him actually thinking that he needs to listen to you after the first time. So make an effort to just be like, Oliver, sit. Or if I say, Grizzly, sit. Grizzly, Grizzly, yes. So you can repeat his name in the hand gesture, but just you don't want to say sit again. Only saying his name positively is very important. We're doing exactly that, using his name as a command of focus. So if I say Grizzly, yes, good boy, yes. I don't want to be like Grizzly. No, you don't want to do that. You're putting more negativity into a situation he's already thinking is negative. And it's like, okay, you don't want me to do that, but then he's shut down and is like, well, what else? What am I supposed to do with this? So instead, direct everything to you. If he always focused on you, you would 95% of the issues would be resolved. So don't feel weird too when I'm out with the dogs and I know, okay, there's a kid coming, there's a dog coming. If there is, there's nowhere for me to go. You're on a sidewalk where there's literally nowhere. I am like down on the ground like, Grizzly, 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 Grizzly. Not necessarily cover, but just like, hi, look, 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 Oliver, yes, 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 oh, good, oh, yes. Like, don't feel crazy, even though you might look crazy and your neighbors might think you're crazy. But it's so important to do that. He responds incredibly well to that. He's like, oh, yes, yeah, what is it? Super exciting. You're so fun and exciting. This is better because that neutralizes that thing. Again, and when I tell people to do that, I see, Oliver, yes. But then if that thing was something he's reacting at, he'll go to it. You have to be on top of him every single second for his mind to go not back to that. I wonder if you were to, at home, like tie him to something and walk away, and then he starts, oh my God, I need to get to you. That behavior gets me to go further. You sit and you can try to direct him like from afar. That would be really good for him. That will be so good for him to do.